Look, for the last 15 years, we have watched LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry be the best players in the NBA, and we are watching them consistently on the highest level. We're watching them in All-Star games. We're watching them in NBA Finals, etc. And some would argue for the last 15 years, we've been watching Steph Curry bail out Steve Kerr. And those people had a day because Curry was out of control great. And it would have been such an incredible shame to get that kind of game out of Curry, who had not been shooting the ball well, playing for Team USA, despite the shorter line, for him to go absolutely nuclear today. 12 for 19 from the field, 36 points in the game. To waste that would have been a crime. And as you mentioned, it wasn't just him. Like, all those guys had real moments. The USA's trying to come back as they win the fourth quarter, 32-15. And you think about the Curry threes, you think about LeBron on a one-man fast break all by himself. You think about Kevin Durant, cross, step back from the top.
After waving everybody off, he waved off his teammates. He's like, let me handle this, and he did.
All those performances and all those moments that we had, but they're not where they are if it weren't for the embattled Joel Embiid. And man, oh man, what Jokic has the 4 fouls, they start going Embiid, and he delivers. Like, those are critical. Everything is a critical moment in that fourth quarter, because when you go down in the fourth quarter in the deficit they had to do a lot of storming back, and every possession mattered. But that mini run that he went on by himself, the 7 straight points in the middle of the fourth, really got the USA in a position where those other guys could make those huge plays. I mean, this was a big redemption for Embiid, who's kind of certainly been criticized, quite a bit throughout these Team USA, and has not been the best version of himself.
No, but he was outstanding in that fourth quarter when he had to be. He was really good, throughout the game. But that fourth quarter, it was a moment where I'm sitting there watching the game and I'm thinking, Embiid was supposed to be a luxury. And he felt like a necessity in that fourth quarter for Team USA to actually have a chance to win the game, to end up winning the game. So I think for, Team USA, they should not be down 15-ish points for the majority of the entire game. They shouldn't have necessarily needed Stephen Curry to go nuclear to even be in it in the first quarter. They probably would have been down 15 or 20 points if Stephen Curry wasn't going off, because the Serbia defense in that first half was outstanding. They were smothering every single USA action. Steph hit so many bailout shots early in the game at the end of the shot clock. But ultimately, though, Embiid isn't just a luxury. He was a necessity in this game, and he was pivotal, helping out the older guys, the older generation, LeBron, Steph, and KD, actually take it home for USA. But I think Embiid actually had his moment to show his value, and that he's not just an additive piece, but an important figure on the team.
I still could have used some more defensive rebounds out of him.
Oh, Milutinov had 3 in 2 possessions. That was a weird sequence.
That was tough. All right, come on.
Yeah.
We gotta protect the defensive backboards, and good thing that those shots and the shot making on the other end were able to bail that out. And Serbia missed some wide open ones down the stretch. I mean, those are huge pressure shots, as Dwayne Wade mentioned on the broadcast.
They went from shooting like 50% from 3 to just in the toilet in the fourth quarter. The USA did a lot better job contesting those shots, I think.
But there was one where they were up to that left wing, or I guess right wing shot from the left-handed shooter.
They did have some open ones. They had open ones, and they missed some open ones.
Yeah, and the other thing is watching that Team USA be able to do what they did down the stretch, because this is a team that has not had those situations. The one thing that worried me, or I guess there were multiple things. There are 3 things that worried me about Serbia. The first was, you played them twice, and yes, you ran over them twice.
But they know you.
They do. So they know you, right? You've beaten them twice. You have 2 game tapes. And you remember that last one that we watched, like Kevin Durant came off the bench and was just absolutely astonishingly great. And the bench for Team USA was so great. And then you and I even talked about it on the pod. Hey, man, there's all these numbers going around that they played even with Jokic on the floor, and they lost by 26 in the minimal amount of minutes that he was not out on the court. Well, when you get into the highest leverage games, how many minutes is he even sitting? So if they play a little better, if Team USA doesn't shoot 50-something% from 3, as Serbia is kind of packing it in and making them hit those shots, then maybe, just maybe, you've got a little bit of a problem on your hands. The other thing is, he is, outside of Giannis, whose team is obviously not in this, he is the one player that is out there that you could very easily say is the best player on the floor, and he doesn't play for you. So it's possible that team has got the best player on the floor who can elevate his teammates. They've got these 2 game tapes, and you really did shoot the cover off the ball the last 2 times. To wit, Team USA shot 50% from 3 today. I mean, and that's just what they can do, obviously.
It doesn't feel like it, but they did.
But if you're Serbia, you got to be like, God, I mean, are we ever going to play? What else can we do? What else can we do?
Well, what they could have done is, I mean, they did a lot. They played great defense. They threw out some zone after not playing any zone at all throughout the tournament, throughout the Olympics. But Jokic himself, 0 for 6 from 3. He missed some open shots as well. I'm sure Jokic after the game is probably blaming himself. He shouldn't. His playmaking was magnificent. His defense was very good. He scored in the interior, but 0 for 6 from 3. His shot has not fallen quite as much this past year, like we talked about with Team Canada, with Jamal Murray, some of the difficulties he had going back to the end of the season for the Nuggets, the fatigue after winning a championship. I do wonder if that could be part of it with Jokic. Tired legs from 3 and the end of the season for Denver, tired legs maybe now in the Olympics. But it's just something on my mind as you kind of look at the Denver situation right now. And for Serbia specifically, things could have been a lot different if Jokic's offense was on at the level that we know it can be.
But this one played out in a lot of ways, like NBA games we talk about, where it was like Serbia is shooting the cover off the ball. They're the ones that are shooting a high volume at 50% from 3, and they're getting great looks. And as you said, there is some tremendous regression to the mean that takes place as that game goes on. And on the other side, it's like, how many times have we talked about this? Like, you know, there's the old Greg Popovich trope that when he was lamenting what the game had become, and he said, you could just look at the 3-pointers, like, for either team. Just look at the 3-pointers, look at the percentage, look at the amount they hit, and I'll tell you who won the game. And I remember you had that stat about the team that just won the NBA championship, the Celtics, that was just freakish. It was like when they hit more than their opponent.
Like
and
98%
like
win percentage, whatever it was. Like, I forget off the top of my head, but it was an absurd number.
They were the best example of you're not beating them if they hit this percentage from 3.
Yes.
You're not beating them.
Just a nuts number. Nuts. And for Serbia, like, if they had maintained that number, and if Jokic had a good shooting night instead of a poor shooting night, then, you know, maybe that Popovich, comment would have stood true for this one as well.
A lot of pressure on Jokic, though, man. Yeah. I mean, it's him and Bogdanovic.
Yeah, I know it is. But ultimately, though, he's 2 for 16 in the tournament. In the group phase, the quarterfinals and semifinals combined. So, I mean, he just didn't have his legs. And I think that showed again tonight from 3-point range, but he did everything else. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that the shot has not fallen since April for him. And, it's similar to Jamal.
Well, Jamal has been
atrocious.
But that's been a much longer
of course
trek.
He's just not creating separation off the dribble in the same way that he did before. It's much different than the Jokic conversation, but I do think it is noteworthy that since April, the shot is not falling for a Joker. And since, February or so, Jamal Murray has not looked like the same guy after they win the championship. So that's just on my mind from an NBA perspective. And it very well may
be true, right? Both of them, with Jamal less, but Jokic been in crazy durable in the NBA. So when you're talking, you guys played damn near 200 games in the last calendar year, right? If you take the year of the NBA season and then going, where'd they go, 16-2, I think, or 16-3. So you're adding on 20 games? That's 100. Then you played this season. Then you went to the second round of this one. You went to a game 7. Then you turn around. Now you're playing for Serbia, and you're playing how many ever games in the friendlies, and then you're playing the high level competition. That's a lot of basketball games. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of basketball games. Over the course of the last year and a half for Jokic.
Yeah, it is. It all adds up, and that's what makes it all the more amazing to see the older guys on Team USA continuing to do what they do with all the miles on their legs in their mid to late 30s for LeBron, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, especially after the injuries Kevin Durant has had, the ankle injuries early in the career of Stephen Curry, and never mind the true durability of LeBron James. He's an Iron Man. It really is incredible that those are the guys that have played such a pivotal moment still in 2024 for Team USA. Well, it's crazy.
And think about this. Durant was the guy for the team the last time that we're doing this. And you think about the guys that signed on for this, because you had what took place last year with the bronze medal game and against Canada or whatever. And I know that was the younger players, but it was also another one of those American moments where it's hey man, we need to reclaim our rightful place as the best basketball country. We can't be screwing this up. And no matter who is being part of this competition. And so they did this Avengers thing, as we called it, where it's everybody signed up. It's all right, Curry, you've never done this before, you're in. Embiid, you've never played for Team USA, you're in. LeBron's back around this time, he's back in. And you think about just those three. It's bro, what if you didn't have them? What if you didn't have LeBron, Curry, and Embiid? We really do have to send our absolute best. That's the point I'm making. You're not winning with your second best or your next tier guys.
Look, if you didn't have LeBron, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant, let's just say you remove those three from the team. It's possible that an Anthony Edwards empowered as the guy rather than being a secondary guy may step up. It's possible Tatum, when he's actually getting minutes rather than riding the bench, may have made a big impact. That's all possible, but that's not the version that we're seeing, and I'm with you there.
But we just saw it last summer, Kev, and it wasn't good enough.
Exactly. I know, but I'm just saying for this year's Olympics, it's possible. But I'm with you that ultimately, we're still seeing that Steph, LeBron, and KD, the older generation, are what's necessary. They aren't just, the old guys hanging on. They're the guys that Team USA needs to rely on still. And that does raise questions about what the team will look like in 2028 and 2032. There will obviously still be an enormous amount of talent. Team USA will still have more talent than anybody else. But the rest of the world has begun to catch up in a lot of ways. It's not like Serbia or Germany, the two teams that lose today, don't lack talent aside from their key figures on the team. It's not like France, who Team USA faces Saturday, isn't facing guys that are high-level players overseas, like a Yabusele, like a Lasor. There's a lot of good talent on the French team aside from the NBA names that everybody knows and has seen for years. So I think for USA, that's more of a concern for 28, when we assume LeBron won't still be playing, and we assume
it's in LA. It's in LA.
I know. That's what I mean. We assume Steph and KD won't be the same level, but I would not rule that out entirely with the way these guys are aging right now. I wouldn't at all.